Some stories are true crime, some are paranormal. But here, you won't just hear them, you'll live them. Put on your headphones. Welcome to what lurks in the shadows. You don't know it yet, but this is the last morning anyone will ever see you. The world feels tilted today. You can't place why. The air feels too still. Even the neighbor's wind chime, always clinking in the Gulf breeze, is silent. The Florida heat presses through your clothes. Sweat crawls down your spine, sticky against your cotton tank top. The porch boards creak under your weight as you light a cigarette, watching the smoke drift in the thick, heavy air. You're Diane Augat, 40 years old, the kind of woman people remember as nice but troubled. You've been here before. The ups, the downs, the pills that flatten you out, and the voices that fill the space when you stop taking them. But this morning feels like maybe you could start over. You cross the street, shielding your eyes. The tavern's old neon sign buzzes above you, half-dead bulbs flickering pink and white. Inside, the door sticks before it gives way with a low groan. The air smells like beer that's soaked into the floorboards. The jukebox hums faintly in the corner, playing a half-broken Garth Brooks song. You take a stool near the wall, your old spot. The bartender nods. Miller Lite? You nod. You twist a cocktail napkin until it tears. Your knee bounces. You can feel eyes on you. A man at the end of the bar glances up from his beer. Someone you might know, or might just look like someone you once met. You can't tell anymore. You stand, start pacing. The world edges sideways, sound warping around you. The bartender's tone sharpens. Ma'am, maybe you ought to go get some air. You don't argue, you just nod. The sunlight hits you like a slap. You blink hard, your eyes watering. The pavement shimmers. You look both ways down the street. No car, no plan, no one waiting. You start walking. Each step feels disconnected from the next. Your sandals scuffing the shoulder of US 19. You think about your sister, about your 3 kids, about the sound of the ocean you can't see from here, but know is just a few miles west. Your mind flickers. Voices, memories, regrets, half-formed sentences. You can fix this. You can make them see you again. You keep walking, and then you're gone. 5 days later, April 15th, a woman walking her dog along US 19 stops short. The dog's growling, hackles up. Something pale glints in the weeds. She bends closer and stumbles backward. It's a finger, a human finger. The nail polish is red, a clean slice through the bone. The deputies arrive. The sky's overcast, heavy. The grass bends under rotor wash from the helicopter circling overhead. The print comes back within hours. Diane Augat. But this wasn't an accident. The medical examiner says it was cut, clean, deliberate. Someone wanted this found. 1 week later, a clerk at the Hudson Food Mart bends to grab a frozen pizza and sees something shoved to the back corner. A clear plastic bag. Marker scrawled across it. Diane. Inside, her lipstick, her perfume, a full bottle of prescription meds. Every item arranged neatly, like a display. The store manager calls it in, hands shaking. Detectives arrive, flashlights cutting through the cold mist. Fingerprint it, bag it, send it to the lab.
Copy that.
When they check the security footage, it's gone. Corrupted. Someone wiped the tape. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The phone rings at Mildred's house. She grabs it, heart pounding. On the other end, it's Diane. Her voice is frantic, barely holding together.
Help, 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 let me out.
Then there's a struggle, muffled movement. A man's voice cuts in, sharp, impatient. Give me that. And just like that, the line goes dead. The caller ID shows one word, Starlight. No one ever calls again. Detectives trace the Starlight lead. There's a motel by that name in the region, but phone records are incomplete, and nothing ties a specific room to a specific person at a specific time. They cross-check cab logs. They look for pawned items with your name or initials. They ask hospitals about Jane Doe's that week. Nothing. They sit with your mother and record the voicemail off her answering machine, then again, hoping an engineer can clean the tape. The cleaned version is the same message, just clearer. A woman pleading, a man annoyed, a click. They don't release it to the public. They argue about whether they should. They don't want hoax calls. They don't want to hand a trophy to a person who likes trophies. Your mother stops sleeping in her bedroom and camps on the living room sofa. She keeps the phone on the cushion next to her hip. Every ring jerks her upright. Your sister checks payphones when she passes them. She stares at motel parking lots when stoplights hold her in place. She tries not to make eye contact with men who look away too fast. This stretch of Florida road, it's earned a nickname among locals. The corridor of the missing. You start hearing the same names over and over. Faces on flyers, same road, same story. Women who needed help and didn't get it. Women who took rides because walking felt worse. None of this explains a finger set out like a signpost. None of it explains a freezer bag labeled in block letters. It doesn't explain a call that sounds like a daughter begging. But it tells you the kind of person you're looking for, someone who studies patterns and hides inside them. Here's the first theory investigators test. Maybe you wandered off. People say you'd gone missing before, hours, sometimes days, until a hospital or a family member pulled you back. You hadn't taken your meds. You were pacing in the bar. You were agitated. You left on foot. Florida brush is unforgiving. There are canals, ditches, retention ponds. People drown in shallow water all the time. But a clean amputation of a finger is not an accident, and a labeled freezer bag is not the wind.
Theory 2. Someone you knew.
You trusted all kinds of people because sometimes kindness was the only currency you had. The kids who crashed at your motel room, the regulars who knew your name at the bar, the person who slowed a car beside you and said, "Need a lift?" This theory fits too neatly for comfort. No struggle in public, no scene, just convenience and timing. Someone who calls you by your first name, someone who knows your perfume, someone who knows what pills you take and that you haven't been taking them, and someone who knows how to write 5 letters on a plastic bag and set it where it will be found.
Theory 3. A hunter.
Stranger predators do exist, and they rely on 2 things, access and invisibility. You give access by needing help. They gain invisibility by choosing someone the world will take longer to miss. A finger is a message. A bag is a message. A phone call is a message. The goal isn't just to hide you. It's to make everyone chase the wrong door. It works. For years. A detective sits with a styrofoam cup. He's tired for a living. On the whiteboard, your name, your birth date, the word ST*R*Light underlined twice. Someone writes hayloft and a time window. He pinches the bridge of his nose. Run the call again. A deputy says, "It's not traceable."
Run it again.
They argue about the freezer footage. Nothing to recover, nothing to enhance. The clerk swears she didn't touch the bag beyond calling it in. The manager swears he doesn't know anyone named Diane beyond the flyer. The detective circles US 19 on a map. He circles New York Avenue. He circles motel clusters and scribbles Evers in the margin. No warrant will stick. No judge will sign without evidence. The detective hates that word, evidence. He has a mother's voicemail in a plastic envelope that might as well be a scream trapped in a bottle. The barkeep says you were pacing. Not drunk, not exactly. Off. He says he asked you to step out. He told you to get some air, maybe call a ride. He doesn't remember anyone following you out. He doesn't remember a car. He remembers a jukebox and a clock that ticked too slow. He remembers the way sunlight hit your face when you left and how you squinted like it hurt. He remembers he did the right thing. By policy, he's not sure it was the right thing by you. Your mother wraps the phone cord around her fingers until they turn white. She plays the message again. She mouths the words with you. Help. Let me out. She listens to the man say, "Gimme that." She flinches at the click. She tells herself the voice was your voice. She tells herself that means still alive. She hopes hope into existence and then punishes herself for it. Your sister sets your missing person flyer on the kitchen table and moves it to the counter and then to the fridge door with a magnet. She reads the same 3 lines every day, as if one morning a 4th line will appear that explains everything. Your kids don't remember this day. They remember you telling a joke at a picnic. They remember that you kept a purse you couldn't afford because it made you feel like yourself when nothing else did. They remember you trying. They remember you not being there. Officers knock on doors. Behind each, someone who swears they never saw you, or saw you once, or saw someone who looked like you. They mention a woman with red polish. They mention a man with a quick temper. They mention Starlight without saying if it's a building or a person. No one wants to be on the record. No one wants to be involved. The detective writes fear on his legal pad and underlines it. He writes debt. He writes drugs. Not because it solves anything, but because it explains why doors close faster when a bad shows up. They drive the corridor at the same hour on a Friday. They count the minutes from the bar to the shoulder where the finger was found. They watch traffic flow. They note which places have cameras in 1998 and which do not. Most do not. The ones that do point at registers, not doors, because that's how loss prevention was taught back then. They stop at each motel. They ask the same questions. They get the same almost answers. They write ride offered on the board. They write no witness. You're deciding whether to keep walking or to accept help. You're thinking about calling your mother, but you don't have a quarter, and the payphone outside the gas station is cracked where the receiver meets the cord. A car slows. A window lowers. Someone says your name. Not ma'am, not hey. Your name. You lean down. You listen. You nod. You open the passenger door. You climb in. Your knees tight, hands folded so they won't shake. The seat fabric is rough. The dash vents blow stale, cold. The radio is low. Talk station. Two hosts arguing about nothing that matters to you. You watch landmarks roll by. Pawn shop, car wash, motel with a vacancy sign that never turns off. The driver talks like you've met before. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. Your brain grabs at fragments. You can't tell what's real memory and what's suggestion. You say, thanks for the ride. Your voice sounds like someone else's. He says, no problem. The locks click down. Concrete floor, bare bulb. You notice the bleach smell because it masks everything else. You count time in ways that don't work. How many times the bulb hums before it warms up. How many times the door opens. How many times you say your kids' names inside your head. You ask questions. Where am I? Why am I here? Please. No one answers in a way that matters. You tell yourself to stay calm. You tell yourself to be small. You tell yourself to survive. Your kids learn to read silence. They learn how to turn off the TV when a news segment about missing women comes on without being asked. They learn it's possible for love to exist at the same time as anger. It isn't fair, but it's true. A man calls in a tip. He says he thinks he saw you get into a dark car near a gas station that afternoon. He isn't sure it's the same day. He isn't sure it's you. He isn't sure it was a gas station and not the store across the street. The detective thanks him anyway. They drive it. They stand where the man thinks he stood. Traffic patterns don't help. Angles don't help. The tip is filed under possible. A pile of possible can be worse than a pile of no. It keeps you busy without moving you forward. The evidence that exists is too neat. A body part, a curated bag, a staged call. This is not about disposal. It's about control. The detective writes, taunt with a question mark. He hates the question mark. He hates that he doesn't know if the killer is bragging or trying to misdirect or both. You count to 100, then 1,000. You practice names. You don't say his. He hasn't told you, and you won't ask. You think about the porch, about the hayloft, about whether the bartender is going to remember your face. Would he recognize you if you came back in and ordered a beer? You promise yourself you will. You make a deal with your fear. You'll sit in the corner stool. You'll finish your beer. You'll call your mother. You'll say, I'm okay. You'll mean it. There it is, the part we circle without wanting to say out loud. The finger wasn't only proof of harm. It was a timestamp. It told investigators you were alive until you weren't. Sometime after that severing. Sometime after that call. Sometime after that bag was staged. And it forced the search to chase a map drawn by the person who hurt you. Shocking that someone would cut a part of you to create a breadcrumb trail. Inevitable that a system built on paper trails and evidence bags would follow the breadcrumb trail, even if it was arranged to waste time. The person who took you understood investigators, understood mothers, understood hope as a weakness and a lever. They didn't just hide you, they curated your absence. Your breathing is steady now because it has to be. You think one thought at a time. You test the door. You try a phrase that might work. You say you're thirsty. You say you need the bathroom. You say you're tired. You don't cry if you can help it because you need your words to land without shaking. You listen for footsteps. You picture the route out. You picture the porch again, the hayloft neon, the corner stool. You imagine standing up, walking out, and the night folding around you like a normal night where bad things don't happen. You keep that picture in front of you because it's the one thing no one can take. Traffic on US 19 doesn't stop. People pass the spot where your finger was found and don't know it. The store sells frozen pizza from a different brand now. The jukebox at the bar gets replaced with a digital one that never breaks. Your case sits in a drawer, then a different drawer, then a digital folder with backups. People retire. People take over. They say your name out loud when they open the file. A detective's kid grows up, joins the department, and sees your photo on a board. He asks about you. He's told you're one of the hard ones. He writes your name again, on a new board, in a new ink. It matters that he does. You walked into a Florida morning and did ordinary things. You crossed a street. You ordered a beer. You stepped outside. you started walking. Everyone deserves to be found. Everyone deserves to come home, even after decades. Help, 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 let me out. We heard you. If you lived near Hudson or Port Richey in April 1998, if you took US 19 often, if you remember a dark car stopping for a woman with red nails, if you worked a front desk where a phone showed Starlight on outgoing calls, if you ever heard someone brag or slip, call it in, even now, especially now. A detail that felt small then might be the hinge now. Follow What Lurks in the Shadows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.